What's up, guys? This is Lucid Rain, and today we have a guest, which is Urban Legend Hunter. Hello.
Hey, hey.
So, he has pretty much exclusively, like, stories, like paranormal, supernatural stories, unexplained, and stuff like that. He's a smaller channel, but, I mean, if I was to compare you to a bigger, like, YouTuber, I would say, like, maybe, like, Mr. Ballin or something.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you want to, like, describe your own channel, go ahead.
Yeah. I would say, I post daily horror stories. I try to tell stories in the now about everyday terror. Some things have to do with the supernatural. Some things have to do with the unexplained. But a lot of things just have to do with everyday terror. Intruders, night shift, things like that have to work. That can happen to anybody at any time, because I feel like real life terror really at the end of the day is the most scary to me personally.
Well, it's relatable, right? I think
Yes.
that's why it works so well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I've watched a few. I don't even remember what video I like found your channel on, but I watched a few of your videos. I know I watched a like and loop video, which we are gonna talk about later, by the way. And I watched a few other ones, and yeah, I was like, I really like this guy's content. So I guess we'll get into a story or two right now. So you said you had a personal creepy story of someone you knew or something. Would you want to tell that?
yeah, I have a personal story from a good friend of mine. The story comes from a gentleman. His name was Frank, who was working third shift at the Avalon Hotel in the fall of 2012. Now, the Avalon Hotel is a rundown hotel. It seemed to have had a bad string of luck since a child had drowned there in the 80s on the third floor pool.
Right.
He was there in town playing baseball, staying for a hotel league. A lot of people travel in and out of Erie, Pennsylvania for like these sports leagues. So he was there staying overnight in the 80s and had drowned in this pool. This used to be the nicest in town, but over the years, it just kept changing hands many times. It just seemed like no matter what they did, this place continued just to have a bad string of fortune. So a lot of people in town would say, it was cursed. And people started having these witnessing apparitions, and like the ceiling was leaking with no explanation. So going back to Frank, he was working third shift one evening, and he was by himself. This hotel is completely empty. And this guy he knows, his name's Matt, who had played in this local band, came out of the bars. It was late at night, and he came in with a bunch of girls. So, they're running all over the hotel, and they're acting a fool in the hotel. And he's telling them, to calm down and everything. But at the same time, he was kind of having fun himself, he said, because no one was there, and it was bored, and it was late. So Matt starts talking about all the legends of this place, and he asked Frank, if he would open up the pool area, because they wanted to check it out because these girls were interested. So in trying to impress these girls, they go up to this third floor pool. And when they go in, it sounds cliche, but I guess apparently at some point, somebody had put like a baseball with a glove inside the pool. And over the years, it was kind of rotted and so forth. And it was kind of like a joke, a sick joke somebody was playing. But as they started going inside this area, all three of them were in this pool. All of them just said that it started getting like real cold, and it was real strange. And everybody just started having like these sense of dread, and they heard this noise. And when they turned around, the ball that was in the glove had rolled into the pool. And when that happened, they all freaked out and they left. And days later, he had told me that he quit. And to this day, he refuses to go back in that hotel. And still to this day, they're still having a string of bad luck and still apparitions, unknown leaking, and all sorts of weird stuff goes on there.
So I forget, you said something about that pool was related to baseball. What about it? Like, was related to baseball?
People would come into town in the Erie and stay. Even to this day, it's a big like sports town. So they were there for this convention for baseball, and the little boy was a baseball player, and he was there for this convention, and it drowned in the pool, and that's what had happened.
Okay. So
and that's what they say the apparition is tied to, is this little boy. That's what the story says.
Okay. Has he ever seen an apparition there?
No. The only thing he would tell me about is they would have these strange leakings, because he would get called the like a leak in the ceiling, and then when they would get to it the next day, there'd be no leak, or they wouldn't be able to figure out what it was. And to this day, I know they still have issues with these seepings in the ceiling on certain floors that are unexplained.
I've heard of just random places being like inexplicably wet before. Not that I've seen that like with my own two eyes, but one of my friends, he was actually on this podcast a long time ago. He said he went on vacation in like Puerto Rico or something, and he said the floor in the hallway between like the living room and his room would just be like absolutely soaked for like no reason at all, and they would clean it up and go to bed, and they'd wake up and it would be the same thing. It would be wet again. It was so weird. And he told me like he doesn't see any evidence of like the ceiling leaking or anything, because they never saw it when they checked. So yeah, I guess that might be a kind of a ghostly thing.
They do say that moisture, and wetness appearance can be a sign of a haunting. Now, again, there are logical, skeptical things that you could probably point to, but not every occurrence is going to be describable. Not everything has a reason of why it's occurring.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably just territory we just have no understanding of yet.
Of course.
I mean, even ghost hunters, they're supposedly around ghosts all the time. They probably don't even understand that shit. I mean, how could we, really? I mean, maybe we don't have the technology. I don't know what it is, or maybe, I don't know. We don't get it yet. Why things happen the way they do. Like, another thing is just like outside of apparitions and stuff. Just like you said, change in temperature. Usually cold. Like, we don't understand that either. All we know is that it's typically tied to a haunting or something.
Yeah.
So you were saying that was it a hotel? You said.
Yes, it's a real rundown hotel. Yes.
So you said it was run down. Does that mean it's closed, or does that mean it's
it is still open. Just recently, somebody was supposed to remodel it, but every time someone's supposed to remodel this, because it's literally in the center of downtown Erie, Pennsylvania, right in the middle of bars and restaurants and stuff, and it was like the premier hotel back in the 70s and 80s, like weddings, everything. But ever since this child drowned in this pool, there's just been this bad string of luck, and it doesn't matter who buys it or what plans they have. It just seems to always fall through. Ghost hunters have been there. All sorts of paranormal groups have been to this hotel. There's just a lot of really weird, strange things that go on there. But it is a personal story.
Like
Yes.
And I wonder if anyone has seen a apparition, if it looked vaguely like a kid or not.
That's a good question. I've actually never really looked into it to that degree.
Yeah.
No, I don't really know. I just know, again, mostly seepage and strange noises. But there are a lot of strange occurrences of temperature changes, things like that, things moving.
Right. Yeah, I like seeking out supposedly haunted areas and stuff, paranormal and stuff. But a hotel, for me, is a different story, because I have to sleep there, and I don't think I could do that. If I saw something extremely disturbing in the very place that I have to sleep at, I don't know if I could do it, to be honest. I might not be able to sleep there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a strange place. There's a bar, Billy's, attached to it, which was like an old kind of bootlegger type of place that goes way back to the early days. And again, there's all sorts of strange things that had occurred inside that bar. Someone actually had got shot inside there. They say that that's actually a part of the entity. I had friends who had ran a club bar night there, and they talked all the time about strange, weird things at the bar, bottles moving, cups missing, random stuff like that. Nothing too sinister, just more prank-like almost.
Yeah.
Down here, we have a couple of bars that are pretty, notorious for being haunted, that had to do with bootlegging. Have you ever heard of Bobby Mackey's? No,
tell me about it.
Bobby Mackey's is a bar in Wilder, Kentucky, that's right outside of Cincinnati. It's been featured on Ghost Adventures. I think that they went there 2 different times. It's like a paranormal hotspot. It's there's rumors that pregnant women can't go there. Like pregnant women that go there experience like being physically hit and all
Jeez.
sorts of shit. But
Yeah, it's creepy.
basically this this man murdered this woman and threw her down in the well, and they call it a gateway to hell now because basically there's just a fuck ton of activity in this like basement where the well is, and I also know people that have done overnights there. A guy that I know from my past named John Foster, and he's a giant pussy, and he did it, and he was freaking out the whole time, and it was recorded, like the whole thing, and I ended up watching it because, like, I don't know, I shouldn't be talking bad about the guy. He's a good guy, but you could tell he was super scared, and I don't, I just thought it
What
was.
is that the bar you're talking about or the well?
Yeah, it's the bar.
Oh,
like he
okay.
was up in like they recorded him in the upper level where like it's the apartment above the bar. But it's just a really like notorious, and it had ties to bootlegging and organized crime, and that's where like it seemed like a similar origin. That's the only reason that I brought it up.
It does seem very similar. Seems very similar. I think every town probably has a bar, a hotel, or something that has its local urban legend attached to it. I'm
Yeah.
sure of that, probably.
Yeah, and it does seem to like hauntings and activity and stuff. I guess this is a no-brainer for people that aren't as skeptical, but like it does seem to get exasperated the more people die there. Because are you guys familiar with the Amityville haunting, the house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every horrible things happened in that house, but I don't remember hearing of any hauntings before the first tragedy, which was, I forget the guy's name, but some guy, absolute psychopath, he like killed his whole family or something. And that was in the Amityville house. And after that, like the activity like spiked drastically. And
there's also a lot of controversy with that, and people say the family that was in there after really played into that because there was money involved because of how high profile that case was.
Yeah, it was very
they were
high
trying
profile.
to basically leverage like that situation into money.
But no, it gets weirder. Some of this is verifiable. There was a guy, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a criminal called Chris Watts. There's many documentaries on him. He lived in the Amityville house. It's crazy how similar his case was to the original family that lived there that got murdered. Chris Watts killed his wife, his 2 daughters, and he threw them both in like an oil vat or something. And after that, like apparently the activity in that house like absolutely spiked. Like everyone, the cops visited there multiple times to, I guess, check it out, get evidence. I don't know, but the cops visited. There was lights turning on for no reason, and they were like, "Oh, well, it's probably an intruder, right?" But it's like, why would an intruder go out of his way to make himself like be easier to spot? So that doesn't make any sense. They've seen black figures walking on their driveway cam and stuff, and also the grandmother of the woman that he killed got a text saying her name was Shannon Watts, the wife. Her grandmother got a message after she was killed saying Shannon's back door is open or Shannon's door is open or something like that. And her grandmother was like, "Who is this?" And they just never responded. And the cops went there suspecting an intruder, and the door really was open apparently. And so it's like, yeah, it's crazy. There's apparitions and EVPs. It's a crazy situation. But my point is, it seems like the more tragedies and trauma happens somewhere, it really does exasperate the activity there.
I also think that, entities too can attach themselves at times. People can become under demonic possession or something someone buys from a yard sale or something that someone is given. People think that just simple objects, but everything that we come in contact with in life has a story, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes, the evil comes and goes.
My bad. You also
go right ahead. Cover it in.
You also need to think about this stuff vibrationally, So energy is ever present, and certain things are going to be, attached to something if it's negative. Like you see it in Europe where like former pagan sacrifices happen and stuff like that, and there's always just, energy is drawn to like energy.
Yeah, it's a really good point bringing that up, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes like with Amityville, and people say afterwards they've never had an issue. Well, maybe it did happen. Maybe it was just the energy with that person, with those people at that time
Right.
that it occurred. So it's hard to tell, because there's a lot of fake stories, but when you go through everything, even if 99% are fake, that still leaves 1%, which is a ton of unexplainable events.
Well, Chris Watts obviously went to jail. He killed his family, and I think a family moved in after that house was sold, and that house was actually sold for like, I don't know, like $70K below asking price usually, because of just because of its reputation. So they lowered the price. The woman that bought that house after, this sounds off topic, but it's related, I promise. She said people were accusing her, I forget what her name was, the woman who moved there, but people were accusing her of trying to mirror the Watts family and the other family like years ago that killed their family as well. And the reason they say that is because after she moved there, she had 2 daughters, like exactly 2, I'm pretty sure, and yeah, she had a husband, obviously, and people said she like dressed like her, and she came out and was like, we love this house, and this has nothing to do with the Watts or anything. This has nothing to do with that. We just like this house because we think it's a perfect fit, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, yeah, we're so happy with this house in this area. They moved out in a year. The whole family, they moved in a year and gave no explanation. Now, if you ask me, if you move out of somewhere within a year, I feel like you have to have a damn good reason to, because like usually out of fear, honestly, like say you get an intruder, you're scared is gonna come back or something, like he's not caught. That's reason to move in a year, of course. Anything fear related, oh yeah, completely understandable. But for someone saying, yeah, we love this house, it's the perfect house for us, and then they move in a year, I can't help but think like, that house is fucked. It has to be, because like she was like, well, she was so positive about it. And then she moves in a year. No, that's fishy, bro. Like,
well, it's understandable for her to be defensive when it's,
no, yeah, that's understandable.
It's a house that everybody knows.
Yeah.
So there's been like 3 or 4 separate movies made on that house.
It's really not okay to be accusing someone of mirroring a fucking family killing murderer family. It's like, how sick do you think this woman is?
Yeah.
Like, why would you you have to be legitimately like mentally ill to think she's actually doing that. And I'm not even saying she for sure wasn't, but like for you to accuse someone of that's kind of not okay.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, people do all sorts of things. I mean, I know they changed the windows on that house. They did everything they possibly could so that they could avoid people coming to it. But still, you just don't know.
I don't even know if anyone lives in there currently. I would assume someone does, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So I guess we can get into some of the topics we have here. And I think we should start with the Lichen Loop and Dogman and cryptids and stuff like that, because I have 2 stories that are not my own, but they're stories I heard. And keep in mind, all these stories here besides the personal ones I have, there is absolutely no verifiable evidence for these. But let's be honest, like, when is there usually ever even verifiable evidence anyway? I mean, even if you took a picture of like say Dogman or something, everyone's just gonna say it's fake anyway, because it's like blurry or something. So I mean, I understand people just not even bothering to take pictures because no one believes you anyway. So
I actually did a video on that, about how I thought when time went on as we got older that a lot of these legends would be solved. But you're absolutely right. Like now, if somebody posted a real Bigfoot or a Dogman, everybody's going to call it AI and just dismiss it when it could be a real picture.
Right. Yeah. That's even worse now that that AI is around. Because now,
it makes it harder.
Because if something looks legit, they're gonna say like it's too good to be true, and it's fucking AI like every time.
So it's like when you really see 100. So when you see 100 Dogman videos and things on, say, YouTube, what's to say that one isn't real? I mean, how would anybody really know at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's really honestly, unfortunately, there's no way to really know. You just gotta, you have to kind of just make your own assessment and take what the person says to make up your own opinion. Really, that's really all you can do.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in the
I have
80s,
seen some videos that were like look really like legit, and if they were fake, like kudos to them because I don't know how they would have done it. Like there's this one particular video, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's this video of this guy who I think he owned like a farm and like chickens and stuff like that, and there's like vegetables like on the floor and stuff like that, and he had a camera, like a night vision camera, set up to, I guess, watch the chickens and well, by extension the vegetables and stuff, and they see this like pretty clear detail, this dog man looking werewolf creature crawl in, and it actually was on all fours, but it was so buff and muscular. He crawls in, takes like a handful of his vegetables and just leaves. And like, you know, he had the glowing what do you call it, like, you know how animals' eyes like glow in the dark when you shine light toward them.
Yeah.
It had that as well, and it really did. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen in the video version of this episode. But yeah, that video was very convincing, and it was before AI as well, like before AI got as good as it is.
The most famous footage was in the 70s. It was called the Gable film. It was actually out of Michigan, but later on it was actually debunked. But it was one of the main things in the early days that actually led to the Dogman lore as time went on. So it actually, if you look that up, something to look up, it's called the Gable film. It's kind of what started a lot of the legends.
Yeah, the Dogman thing, it's like, people are very like this. Honestly, this goes for any cryptid, but Dogman as well. Yeah, people say what you always hear. Oh, well, how is it possible that there's like not videos all over the place if they're seen so commonly? And it's like, bold of you to assume that when someone sees something they have never seen in their entire life and are stricken with fear, that they'll want to take out, the first thing they think is to take out their fucking phone and zoom in and snap a picture. Like, no, almost no one is really thinking that. I mean, I think I would try to get a picture, but I can't even guarantee that I would in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
I think older accounts are actually more realistic to me a lot of times than even newer accounts, because it was before the internet, before social media, before buzzwords and likes and so forth.
Yeah.
So when you have people in the early 1900s, you know, claiming to see these dog-like creatures, what would possess somebody to say that? Why you would be ridiculed and, you know, people would laugh at you? Why would you do that in that time period?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get ridiculed now.
So yeah, very true.
But back then, I'm sure they look at you like you have two heads. And people say there's no documented what's it called, like text of, you know, the term Dogman it before, like, I don't know, the 21st century or something. But here's the thing, before the 21st century, probably way even further back than that, the people, I don't know, like late 1800s maybe, people called them werewolves. If you look at old texts of people talking, like they talk about werewolves, and that's just what they called it back then, apparently. So they don't use the term Dogman, but obviously the terms of things are going to change over the course of thousands of years. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So like, I don't think, because there's no written text past before the 21st century that say Dogman, like that doesn't debunk Dogman sightings. Like that, I don't even understand that. Most of these things, these these cryptids, whatever, most of that stuff goes way back, like way back, like almost ancient times. I mean, skinwalkers, same deal.
I think that, you know, Dogman is one of the more believable, because it doesn't have to be this like hulking, you know, werewolf as described. It could just simply be an unknown species, a crossbred species. It could be a lot of things that are very explainable but still very creepy, which make it a little more believable to me comparative to the way that some people describe it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think anyone is saying that, Dogman is a, he's human in the daytime, and then the moon comes out and he turns into a werewolf. Like, I don't think anyone actually, like, thinks that. So, I don't know. It really is kind of believable. I mean, there is, I think to my knowledge, there is more Dogman sightings, like, nowadays than, like, ever before. I mean, Bigfoot gets a lot, too, supposedly, but, I mean, that for some reason I'm seeing more and more accounts of people seeing Dogman, mostly in. I said again, I've never heard of an account outside of the U.S. Have you guys? Because I haven't heard that before. But like in the
Yeah,
U.S., it
I
seems
mean,
like they're
with,
everywhere.
werewolves, there's plenty of lure in Europe and
That's true.
you know
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
other places. So if we're talking about things that have lycanthropes, that's a pretty common entity to come across.
Right.
It doesn't really matter where you are in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, that goes back almost to the dawn of time. People have been talking about people changing into animals
Yeah.
and shape
Yeah,
shifting
I
and
mean
stuff like that.
that was a huge thing in Norse culture. That berserkers would
Oh
don
yeah.
skins and take drugs and turn into that animal.
Yeah.
Norse mythology has werebears and werewolves, and that's a common occurrence. Same thing with indigenous folklore. I mean, you have the Gloshi, like that's just a variation because putting on skins in indigenous culture is something that was common practice for shamans
Yeah.
because they would put on skins and they would do a ceremony and supposedly be able to turn into that animal, and they would use that for traversing long distances. Like it was purposeful,
Yeah.
it was a purposeful ceremony so you could essentially cover distance, or there was practical uses to it.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's in virtually every culture. So.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even in like I think it's because of the progression in science and technology. I think they actually were a little bit more superstitious back then because they just had so little understanding of the world as it is with what we had. Like I remember in Victorian London, like they thought, like some people legitimately thought Jack the Ripper was a vampire. Like they actually thought that. I wasn't like yeah, random myths and rumors. Like they actually were considering the fact that he was a vampire because he kept getting away with things that they have never seen a human get away with before. So I don't know.
Yeah, like when you take it back to the actual lichen loop here, like through Pennsylvania, and you look at Dogman sightings, just bringing it back to the loop here, you have to look at all the wooded areas that are around this area.
Yeah, there's a lot.
All the deep forests in the areas, and when you start driving through a lot of that backcountry, you can clearly see where there could be something living out there that nobody would really know about. Very few people would see.
Oh yeah, there's this there are you guys familiar? Is anyone familiar with Tinicum Park in PA?
I'm not.
No.
Okay.
No.
It's a I actually used to work around Tinicum, but it wasn't specifically the park. And when I worked there, I saw a little bit of woodland areas, but like really not that many. And then I heard people saying like, yeah, I've seen multiple Dogman sightings in Tinicum, and I was like, where? Like there's no like woodland areas, but it turns out, yeah, there's this huge forest basically called Tinicum Park, and apparently like they've been seen around that area. So I don't know how far that is from me. Like I know my job in Tinicum was like probably 20 minutes away, but I think I'm assuming Tinicum Park is like quite a bit further, because if you look up pictures, I mean it's a huge, like, trees everywhere, almost nothing but trees and water, like pretty much. So it wouldn't surprise me that people would see them there. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, all down the I-79 corridor, going from like Erie, Pennsylvania, to Pittsburgh. You go out Warren, Kittiute, all these little small areas like that. There's all sorts of farms and strange occurrences, stories about mutilations on farms of just chickens and
I've heard
small
about that
animals
too.
and things like that maybe aren't so nefarious, but at the same time are still something to pay attention to, because you can't have that many mutilations going on farms,
right?
And then just chalk it up to coyotes and other things along those lines, especially when they have the proper fencing, and it just doesn't make sense to me when you look at all these stories. It just doesn't at all.
Yeah, and I've heard of them finding animals like absolutely like mutilated and ravaged, and it's like, I mean, I wouldn't know really, but I would assume normal creatures could do that if there was like a pack of them. Like they probably could have that, But like yeah, these creatures are literally like I've heard are like ripped to shreds, which is like I'm not so sure that, and also like even in those areas, like I'm not so sure that there is packs of like I don't know wolves, coyotes. Like I'm not sure. I don't know the geography enough, but all I know is yeah they found these things like ripped to pieces like violently, and it's like yeah just so happens to be places where dogman sightings are. So
Yeah, I mean, they're seen all the way from Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Ohio. It just happens that the loop is a concentrated sighting in that loop, but I mean, they're all over. I mean, they're all over the place. The
yeah.
sightings.
Yeah, I mean, and the sightings are basically like again, like these aren't things that have evidence 99% of the time, but the thing is like the sheer volume of people claiming to have sightings it's absolutely insane, especially in PA. Like I've seen
Yes.
so many. I've seen posts about like dogmen and stuff from PA that are in like subreddits that have nothing to do with like cryptids or anything. I've seen people just saying that, so it must
And
really be a
again,
hot spot.
and if 99% of them are fake and still 1% is unexplainable, I mean,
Yeah,
that's still there's thousands of stories.
yeah, right. So yeah, I
Hmm.
have a dogman story here, which I thought this was pretty intriguing, and it actually kind of lines up with a lot of the other sightings I've heard about. So there was this guy staying at an Airbnb in Catskill Mountains in New York State, which is yeah the Appalachian Mountains, and it was a very small building. Like you could probably walk from one end to the other in like I don't know 15 steps or something, and they had a 100-pound German Shepherd, like a huge German Shepherd, and they said he was well, the woman was there, but the German Shepherd was mostly taken care of by the guy. And he said, I don't know how true this is. I don't really go camping or anything like that, but he said majority of creatures out in the woods would stray away from a dog of that size. Because he said even bears, like people think bears are these like vicious, horrible, terrible creatures, but apparently like they will not really go out of their way to approach you unless maybe they have their cubs around them. That's what I heard. I wouldn't know. But
That's about right.
okay. Well, yeah, his dog, the German Shepherd, was acting like he was off the leash because he was super well behaved. Apparently, he was acting super aggressive, like just snarling and growling and barking and stuff. And the guy said like he's never seen his dog be this way before, which I've experienced with my own dogs and stuff like that. But yeah, he said he heard a creature or some animal or something in like a little like toward the direction he was barking at, and he heard what he specifically pointed out as bipedal footsteps. So like when you hear say a bear runs past you or walks past you or something, it's not going to sound the same as if a person is walking near you, right? Because I mean that's just the nature of bipeds. So he said he went up there and he shined a flashlight. Like, what is he barking at? Is it a bear? Like, what is it? And he looked like he saw two eyes, like the glowing eyes, illuminated eyes, but they were like way high up above the ground, like higher than the man himself, at least from his point of view. And like he had to aim the flashlight upward to like really even see it that well. And he said it was he just said it was way too tall to be any animal that he knows of, and he goes outdoors like pretty much all the time. And so his wife was getting scared, so she's like, yeah, we should leave, like we should go into the Airbnb. And they left, and the bipedal footsteps followed them. He looks back and the thing is like keeping its distance but still following them, like it followed
Creepy.
them to very creepy. And they got in the Airbnb safely, the dog too, and he said that they heard footsteps around their Airbnb the whole night. Like not just one set. Like he said initially he heard one bipedal footsteps. He said he heard multiple sets of footsteps like the entire night, and he was like he had to he checked outside like a few times at night and he would never like see anything. And so that makes me think like was there multiple dogmen, or was it just the one dogman and then it was the rest were just like, I don't know, wolves or like bears or something? Like I don't even know what to make of that.
Well, I think your story ties into a lot of stories. Seasoned people who are experienced campers have dogs and things that are experienced in the outdoors, not frightened, not, spooked easily.
Yeah.
But then they see or experience things in the woods that they're just not used to seeing when they're out there all the time. And I think those are some of the most sinister stories because they seem the most believable. Because again, why would somebody who is a seasoned person in the outdoors make up something like that?
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, and plus, I feel like that's kind of maybe from that person's point of view a little humiliating to like be completely
that's what I'm getting
thrown
at.
off. Yeah, because like this experienced person, they probably pride themselves on their knowledge of the outdoors and
Survival.
stuff like that. Yeah, so it's really not even in their best interest to talk about, like, show that they've experienced something they cannot even explain a little bit. So
or people who have not experienced it. You're right. It's an embarrassment almost in a way.
Yeah.
Coming across like that.
Yeah.
If you're
right.
an experienced survivalist, I would think that for sure.
Yeah. And also the guy said, just to clarify, he did not know he had never ever heard the term dogman before that. So yeah, see, some people like to say like, oh, you're just saying a sighting you saw is dogman because you already heard of it and that's what you wanted to see. It's like, no, he did not know what it was. He literally had never heard of it and he looked it up and then found the term dogman. So, and that's happened with a lot of things. Don't know if we'll literally ever get like some sort of, not origin, but like, yeah, I guess origin on like what they actually are, especially if they are like some people speculate like what's it called, bioengineered or whatever. If that's the case, like by the government, that we're not ever getting that answer. Like people don't want to hear, because they know people don't want to hear that like at all.
Well, yeah, if somebody actually had a body of one of these, like, can you imagine the paranoia coming public with that? Like the scrutiny and who would show up at your door, what would happen to you? I mean, it's kind of quite frightening when you think about it, actually solving one of these mysteries.
Yeah, right. I mean, honestly, like, I want the answer, but it's like, does the public want the answer? I'd argue they don't.
I would agree.
Because being oblivious is just better to like the average person, I feel like.
Yeah, it's just easier to just blend with it than it is to solve or figure it out, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dogman is that. I think that what scares me about it is how frequent the sightings are. Like that's actually what scares me about it. It's like, I haven't heard any stories of like them hurting humans necessarily. So maybe they wouldn't do that. I don't really know, but.
Well, that you know of, though, right? I mean, like, things happen all the time that are unexplainable, or people go missing that they never find in this area all the time. So
forests that happens all the time in forests. People just disappear.
That's what I'm saying. So who's to say? Who's to say that some of those missing people or things, again, would go back to that 1%, even if only a small percentage of them are. It still makes it, that much more believable.
Yeah. Right. So I think we can get into mimics, because I actually was not very familiar on the topic of mimics and what they are and stuff. But over the past, I'd say like month or so, I've been looking into them, and it's honestly like pretty new to me. I've heard of like doppelgangers, but that's not the same, because I don't think doppelgangers are pretty normal. It's just it's another actual person that just looks just like you. But the thing with mimics is that they try to copy they're called mimics. They try to copy the person that they're mimicking. So and it mostly is like I've heard stories of them being like not even just forests and stuff like that. I've heard stories, and I have one here that I'll tell in a minute, of one just being in someone's house. And it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, mimics are super widely talked about at this point.
Are they?
I've
Because I
just
haven't really
scrolled through
heard too much.
TikTok and saw like 5 or 6 different stories of mimics and people doing skits with them and all sorts of stuff.
Oh
So
my
maybe
god.
it's just my feed, but
Do you know if where these like supposed like mimics at? Like, are they in like woodland areas, or does it not
Most of the
matter?
mimics, most of the mimics
in
that I see,
Appalachia.
yeah, Appalachian,
Okay.
Appalachian mimics, also known as skinwalkers, of people who go out in the woods. They see their friend, they think it's their friend, but then they realize that their friend's still back at camp, but they were
Right.
out in the
Yeah.
woods.
Yeah. I've heard about
Stories
that
like
stuff.
that. Yeah, those are a dime a dozen in Appalachia. Is people
Are
not
you
knowing
all
who's real.
are you familiar with the term fleshgate?
No.
No, I'm not.
That is basically a urban legend that started online that is similar to a mimic. Like all of the stories, they started as creepypastas, but they would all be like essentially. Are you a Rick and Morty fan at all? You know the episode when the parasites take over their memories and start implanting false memories of like Eddie the fucking elephant or something like that. It's essentially they would do that. They would take form of someone that is either random or someone that you know and implant memories, and basically they would just try and pick you off, and
Oh, that's
like
crazy.
it's essentially the same
Yeah.
thing as a meme, but
Wild.
What is that called?
flesh gates.
Okay.
Flesh
Yeah, I've
gate.
never heard of that.
To look that up.
So yeah, I have two mimic stories, and one of them, to my knowledge, is not even in any kind of woodland area, which makes that really creepy if it's to be believed. So there was this guy who had a friend over, and he stopped talking to his friend to like basically tuck his son in bed, and his son asked to wear specifically like red like race car pajamas or something, like a specific kind of pajamas that he likes, and he said he does not, he pretty much never will change it himself. And the father goes to talk to the friend in the kitchen, and they can see the child's bedroom from the kitchen, and this is so unbelievably creepy. They're talking, and the kid in the I guess in the doorway, which is a few feet away from them, and the kid that was screaming was wearing green pajamas, and the guy was saying like he almost never changes the pajamas himself, and he also did not even, like, why would he ask to wear those ones and then switch himself? Like, that doesn't really make much sense anyway. And so they saw that kid screaming, and then he runs away somewhere, like I guess in the room with the other actual kid, and they go in there, and the green pajama kid is just gone, like completely gone, like just no trace of them. And they saw the actual kid laying on the bed with the red pajamas still. So again, like, this is in someone's house, like this is not in a trail or anything like that. So that was just bizarre. And the fact that it just like mysteriously vanished without a trace, that really makes me wonder, like, are they even physical beings? Because like I've never read a story where they said they've interacted with anything physically. Like, I've never seen that before. I've seen them talk to people and stuff like that, but I've never seen them physically interact with the world. So I'm wondering if like maybe they're more akin to like a spirit than a biological like being. I don't even know.
I think what you're describing in that story, you can change the variables, and it's a different story. Those stories all pretty much kind of blend together. Seeing somebody and then disappearing. So you're absolutely right. It does seem like some type of paranormal force of some
Yeah.
kind, almost not like a physical being or entity, but more of something that is of this more supernatural-esque,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's kind of what it seems like. I've heard stories of mimics copy, like almost like a mirror, like literally doing the moves you're doing, and shit like that. Those I've heard in the more so in woodland areas. So yeah, this specific one is pretty different. But yeah, I'll probably do one personal story. So I'll start with the longer one first, but it's not that long anyway. I actually made a video about this story my channel is mostly a gaming channel. I don't talk about this kind of stuff on my channel really. So it was this story's been bothering me for literally probably over 10 years. And so what it was is there was what sounded like a guy. I was playing games at like in the middle of the night basically. I couldn't say what time it was, but it was really dark. And my dog at the time, he starts barking at my front door, which is, I can't see the front door from the living room, but I can tell where it is. So he was facing the front door barking. I could see the back half of him, and I was like, what are you barking at? And I did not hear the door or anything, like open, nothing, unlock, nothing. And I hear a man, like he shushed my dog. He said like, shh. And I was like, what the fuck? I did not hear the door or anything. So yeah, he's telling my dog to shush, as if that would ever shut up a dog, right? And I went to my kitchen, which is like very close to the living room, and I got a big ass knife, and I was like, I hope I don't have to use this, but if I have to. So I waited a few minutes, just like basically just staring at the back half of my dog, like growling, because I was honestly just too scared to like go and see what he's growling at. Maybe I'm a bad owner, I don't know, but eventually he stopped barking and growling and stuff. He was calm now, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go check. I walk out to that front porch area where the front door is, and there is absolutely no sign that anyone got in, and they couldn't have gotten in anyway because it has a bolt lock and a normal lock, and both of those were on like every night. So this person, if it was even a person, and I'm doubting it even was, if this was a person, that would mean they had to have gotten in past the bolt lock and the normal lock without me hearing anything, and then got out the same way without me also hearing anything. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I don't even know what to. I don't know what could have possibly have been. I really don't. It's been bugging me for years.
Yeah, it's real freaky. That is freaky for sure.
Yeah, so that's one of the ones I can't say is like definitely paranormal, but that's what I'm leaning toward. But this next one I'm about to tell, I feel like it's 100% paranormal. So this was going on for, I'd say like 3 weeks. So one day I woke up and like both my arms were hurting for some reason. Chris has heard this story like 20 times. I'm sorry you have to sit through it again. But both my arms were hurting, and I was like, why are my arms hurting? And both of them. And I looked down, and there's like these really unclean like gashes, multiple, on like under my bicep, both biceps. And I was like, that is really weird. And I didn't do anything about it at first, because it didn't look too bad, but it was a little concerning and weird. But over time, over the weeks, the gashes got like bigger and bigger and more violent, and eventually they became like wounds. Like they weren't bleeding, but they were like red and like kind of like open wounds almost. And it was a very, like, it wasn't a clean cut. It was a super unclean cut, like someone did with like a serrated knife or something. And there was multiple on both biceps, and I was like, okay, I'm looking this up. And I was just wondering, like, could this be an allergic reaction? Like what is this? I can't even think of what this could be. And at the time, I didn't see anything saying this could be an allergic reaction, so I had no idea what it was. And I didn't really even tell anyone about it, I don't think, besides Chris. And here's the crazy part. Eventually, they started going away. Like, it stopped hurting and stuff, and then eventually they disappeared. But here's the weird part. There was absolutely no sign that they had ever been there. It's like, if you look at my arms, even after in that time, let alone now, if you look at that area, it's completely, like, you would never guess that those giant gashes were ever there. No scarring, no mark, nothing. They're gone completely. And I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. It's the weirdest thing ever.
That is very weird and strange. It might have a logical explanation, but it might not. It does sound pretty weird. That's for sure.
I know, Chris, like, I think you said, like, you had, like, scratches, maybe, sometimes, for, like...
Yeah, but that happens all the time, where I just have scratches that appear out of nowhere.
Huh.
Yeah, so...
I don't know. You know, I don't know if there's a logical explanation to that or not. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
yeah, it's like literally the only thing I could think of is an allergic reaction. And at the time, I was getting. First of all, I don't even think I ate anything that I don't normally eat anyway. But yeah, I don't know what else it could have been. Like it's it really seemed, and I've heard of people getting like cuts and like deeper cuts and stuff like that, just waking up with them for no reason. But like that could maybe also be explained logically. This I cannot explain. This I have no idea what it could have been. So.
Well, guys, this was Lucid Rain, Urban Legend Hunter. Great channel, so check him out. I will have the link to all his stuff in the description. And yeah, you guys have anything else to say?
No, I appreciate you both,
No.
and it was a great conversation.